a little different, huh? You need to set up a before you start streaming. What the? I did it, man. What I'm talking about, man.
Why I said you're actually gonna go live today.
I'm gonna do it.
Because I knew you didn't look into this until this.
No. I
remember no practice beforehand. You were just like, fuck it, we're doing it live, and then you're like, oh,
live button.
Create broadcast is create broadcast. There you go. Create and start streaming. Create a new live broadcast. Please wait. I hope.
Let's name it.
All right. I think we're live. I believe so. If there's a chat, there's a chat that I can see here. Hey, we're here on another episode of Salient Points. This one's number 100, the one where we go live, I hope, because it could potentially be, one of those lost episodes. But I am Carlos Macias, the host of this here fine program. Dalan Kirkwood. Dalan, you're already rubbing your eyes, man. You didn't watch The Last of Us. You barely just jumped on. You just watched your dog, I'm assuming, so you're very tired.
Well, yesterday I had to go to sleep early because I knew I had a doctor's appointment this morning, and it was an eye appointment, so they dilated my eyes. So for the first couple hours of this day, I could not read a thing.
You're dealing with dilated eyes. Dalan, I give the instructions at the hospital about dilated eyes. You're going to have blurry vision for 4 hours. You're not supposed to drive. I'm assuming you still drove in the snow, uphill both ways. Well, let's hope you survive it, Dalan. You're over here talking about, let me watch The Last of Us. You can't even see out of your right eye, man. Dalan Kirkwood. Dalan Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining us on this live episode. This one's going up for officially February 7th, 2023, but we are streaming. We hope it all works out. If anyone has a chance to kind of look into that day, or at least whatever. But we do have Dalan Kirkwood up in the mountains. Thank you for joining us, sir, for this special episode here. We also have Deo Blas, who is the king of Mid-Bay. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Hey, congratulations on today's epic number that you've reached with the podcast.
Well, to us, to you, to the show, you guys help me out here on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I know it gets really wacky. We never start on time. We were supposed to start this, I think, at what did I say, 4:15, 4:30? As you can see, it's about 5:45, but we're here. Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel. Thank you for joining us again, sir.
Yeah, you went live, but you went live on a different broadcast, so the other one still says upcoming.
Okay, reasonable.
You have two different live videos going on right now.
So how do I find the link? Very quickly.
I got it.
You got it? Oh, you know where the new link is? Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Okay, so we'll get started here. We'll get started here. Hey, it's a 100th episode. We're going live here. We'll start off as we always have, as we've been starting the last few weeks, is Survey says. Basically, I put up a poll on Twitter and ask a random question. This last week, I said Sony says they're not halving a PS VR2 projections like Bloomberg is reporting. Who is lying? 55% of people said Bloomberg, who we have said are reputable, semi-reputable in the past, and then 45% said Sony. Duh. I was a little surprised. I was a little shook, so I did tweet out saying, people, all these manufacturers, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo can and will lie to you. Believe in the Jason Schreiers and Steven Totillas of the world, which Jas Rignall, which I appreciate, he responded, I believe. Perhaps, but journalists also don't always get it right. And also Michael Pachter, another analyst who I respect a little bit. He said this article should be titled "Bloomberg lowers its PSVR 2 estimate." So we don't know who to believe out here. Even Sony came out and said we deny these claims that we've reduced PlayStation VR 2 production following underwhelming pre-orders. They said they're, quote, seeing enthusiasm from PlayStation fans for the upcoming launch, which includes more than 30 titles such as GT7, Horizon Call of the Mountain, and RE Village. I kind of, since it's a little mixed bag here as far as the reception is, I kind of stand by my statement. I feel like Bloomberg, being a semi-reputable outlet that they are, probably did report on we're hearing Sony's talking about let's not produce as many. And like I said, Sony can and will, any of these manufacturers can come out and lie. So always believe that they can lie, right? But I do appreciate the commentary, and I got a little bit of feedback on it, and I appreciate that. It's possible that the journalists may have not gotten it right, and I hope they update it at some point. I haven't seen that, so maybe to them they're like, no, this is ironclad. We believe in this. We'll go to Luis. We'll keep it reasonable with Luis first, and then we'll go to Dalan. But Luis, what do you think about this, man? Who's lying here?
I don't know that anyone is necessarily quote unquote lying. I
Fair.
Bloomberg or whoever else did that. They got this information from somewhere, whether or not it was old information, new information, or something that they kind of just like in that crazy wall with thumbtacks and threads connected some sort of theory that they reported on something that they thought might be
Thumbtacks and
true.
Like
red
when we
string.
let Dale cook out here, right? When we let
Yeah.
Dale cook on his
And
conspiracies.
Sony, when a company comes out and actually says something about, shoots a story down, I'm prone to
True.
believe them versus a
True.
company like Nintendo that just stays quiet for anything. So I don't know. Either one could be lying and or telling the truth to some respects, but
Yeah.
whatever. I don't really care too much if they are lying anyway.
Yeah.
Like whatever,
Yeah,
So
true. True. I think it just goes to like a bigger thing. Not to. This is sort of like PSVR2, man. Like I put on a previous post, like they're gonna support this thing for 3 to 6 months and be like, whatever. We got our money out of it. But I think it can point to a bigger thing, right? Where it's like, look, don't always assume they're telling you the truth. But you do make a fair point. I mean, it could have been Bloomberg is like, we did hear this. It might have changed. They might have changed the goalpost, but we did hear this at some point. You would hope though that they would, being the journalist, because Sony can say whatever they want whenever they want. You would think that Bloomberg would be like, no, we did hear this, right? So it's a little believe, I guess, who you want to believe. I did appreciate the controversy on it though. What do you think about this, Dalan?
Well, as to who is lying, I don't know, but like Louis said, I'm more prone to actually think that Sony is trying to tell the truth, that they shoot it down so quickly. Kind of like when what was it? Cyberpunk 2077 said Sony will give you refunds, and Sony turned around and was like, "No, we're not doing that." But I'll tell you what, when it comes to the launching of a new system or even a new IP or a game or whatever it is, the fact is, all of these companies, they're guessing, they're doing math, and they're trying to wonder whether or not people are going to pick these things up, and so they try and estimate what it is, but it's all still guessing, regardless of what happens.
I mean, that's the projection, right, Dalan? The projection
It's
means they're guessing, all right?
Projection means guess. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a guess.
So good job. Thank you, Mr. Thesaurus, man. We appreciate
welcome.
that.
They're guessing.
We'll go into the headline right quick on this Hogwarts Legacy. The game comes
Really
out on
quick.
Friday. Go ahead, Dalan,
Yeah,
please.
I'm gonna take a step back because you didn't get your Master of Arms name today.
Oh, that's true. I did. Hey, it's wacky today, man. We don't even know what the link is for the show. All right. I hope
They're
they'll
like,
put
"We're
out
live,
the
but
correct
I
one.
don't know where.
We're live somewhere on the internet, but okay, Dalan. Well, I'm the master of what?
You are the master of paper mache.
Papermache.com. Thank you very much. I hope you appreciate like that enough that you had to mention it. But look,
I
we'll
just
go.
wanted to make sure it got
We'll
out
go
there.
into the Hogwarts Legacy, some of the controversy. Of course, we've been hearing about it since the game has basically been announced, right? The J.K. Rowling has kind of come out and said some like transphobic statements, and people can feel a way about it. That's okay, right? But we've seen the reviews. The reviews are out, and they're kind of overwhelming, I think, or at least I think from last I checked, they're at least 85, right? If anyone could kind of give me an update on that one, but I believe they're at least 85 on Open Critic, and that's the one I like, Open Critic, but on Metacritic as well, I'm assuming. Some outlets, basically some outlets decided that they're skipping reviewing the game, but also that they're not doing guides, which is, according to Steven Totillo from Axios, said that's actually kind of a bigger revenue sacrifice, not doing the guides. And actually, we see it when we write stuff. We do a lot of podcasting around here, but like the Dale stories, when he does like 10 tips about it, Halo, or 10 tips about this, those get hits. Those get more hits than like say a review or anything else. So the fact that they're like, we're not doing reviews or we're not doing guys, they're just kind of sticking to their guns. I think part of it is also probably that they're not getting early review copies, right? I think we talked about it last week when what was the game for Forspoken, right? He's like, like whoever the PR guy was, right? It's like, oh, I see you shitting on my game and yet still asking for a code, huh? So I think that I see you, right? So I think that could potentially be a thing, right? So at least one outlet, Kotaku, didn't get early review codes from what we can tell. This is on some tweet reporting from Legacy Killer HD. He's basically like, look, they're confirming they didn't get any codes. One of the key things in the game that people have pointed to is that it does feature a transgender character, Sirona Ryan, who you meet early on in the 3 broomsticks or broomsticks. And this is, I think, gives you kind of a sense that the developers have tried to distance themselves from J.K. Rowling's statements, right? I'm catching up to the movies. I won down 6-7 to go. Believe before
seven.
because there's a part 2 somewhere, right? It's so wacky, man. The acting. I talked to Luis off wax about this, and he's like, the acting gets a little bit better. They grow into it.
They're children.
They are children. The 3D animation.
They're supposedly
Some of the visual effects actually do hold up, surprisingly enough. Like, oh, that still looks kind of good, but some of it looks a little rough. Anytime they have the characters like manipulated in the air or swivel, moving around, it's super rough, man. It's very rough. But anyways, we'll talk about the game. If you guys want to talk about this or kind of what has you most hyped about, I'm not sure who is the resident Harry Potter fan on here. Let me throw it to Luis. I think Luis might be
trying to figure it out.
Luis, what do you think? Are you the resident Harry Potter fan? You would say the number one Harry Potter fan?
I don't know. We don't really talk about Harry Potter on this podcast.
We don't really talk about Harry Potter.
It's a secret shame.
Well, we did get sorted into houses, Luis and I think we're the only two.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well,
I saw you guys tweeted that.
I guess maybe the fact that I've been sorted for years, maybe we'll throw that into the mix, and I'm a little bit higher up in the tier. If we really want to pick,
I'll give it to you. Even if it's just to throw some smoke at Dale's way, I'll do it. I'll take it. Yeah, I'll accept it. But
Luis, we know you're the Peter Pettigrew of the group.
So how are you feeling, Luis?
Reference.
Luis, do you feel like the reviews are coming out? Not that you necessarily read them or care about them, right? But the fact that the reviews are pretty good, I mean, it's an indication that some of these outlets haven't received codes as well, right? But the reviews are pretty high up there, right? There's good reviews. What do you think about the reviews or your hype on the game or whatever you want to start us off on?
Yeah, I mean, I've been excited about this game since it was announced. So I kind of saw the reveal trailer. I saw something like a gameplay reveal trailer that came out a few months ago, and that's basically it. Aside from some of the kind of clips that they post on Twitter, they're like few-second clips just saying this is this character or whatever. But yeah, I don't look at reviews. That's not a thing that I really do, so I haven't seen them. I've heard that they're overwhelmingly positive, which is, I guess, good to hear. But yeah, I guess it's, kind of take it with a grain of salt if there's some people out there that haven't gotten a review copy. But I mean, at the same time, these companies have $60-$70 somewhere if they really wanted to review the game, right? So
That's true.
But yeah, I get it.
That's
If you're
true.
accustomed to getting review copies, it is kind of like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Is this something that happened because they posted views of editorials or something about?
I'm pretty sure, right? Like editorials will be like, "Oh, this is horrible. Why are you looking forward to this?" It's the author has made these statements.
I have seen a lot of that on Twitter of people like, if you buy this, then you're transphobic or some stuff like that. Which I don't want to get too in the weeds on that topic, but because people do chalk it up to her saying transphobic remarks, but I don't think any of those people, or most of them, didn't kind of go see her response to it or her blog post of saying that she supports the transgender movement, anyone's decision to, decide if they want to be a man or a woman. It was just basically her splitting it up and saying kind of like gender is a fact, I guess. Like if you're born a man, you're born a woman, like sort of into health situations, or you go to the doctor, it's important for them to evaluate you in that sort of scope.
Yeah,
I guess. But,
which
it was something that you mentioned, just like specifically to the Scottish government, that they were passing this law that basically would, in effect, say anyone can sort of just decide I'm a man or a woman, and that's kind of it. They are legally a man or a woman. There's no like. So she was just saying, it's some sort of it's what do you call it?
They're
just
like
treacherous ground, I guess, or where. You could get into situations where someone decides that goes into a restroom and sexually violates someone, because she had experiences like that. That's all she was saying.
Yeah,
like,
which you can take that, like, say you only hear the sound bites, you don't hear the whole thing, the whole context of it, and you could still be like, you know what, because of that, even the sound bites that I heard, and I don't want to encourage that, or I don't want to patronage that or whatever. But and this kind of goes into like other things. I don't know if we mentioned it on Wax, but it's kind of like Michael Jackson, and how do you view that, right? It's like he made amazing music, but he also did some questionable things, right? I don't know if it necessarily you even put it up to like what J.K. Rowling has done based on your explanation of it. I don't know if it reaches that kind of height of it, right? But everyone kind of has a right to just kind of judge it. If that's gonna affect your experience of the game, and you're like, I don't want to support that, then you don't.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're
If
like, you know what?
doesn't want to, then they're go for it, right? That's
Yeah.
your decision to not support the game or to support the game. I'm not gonna judge anyone's decision.
Are
either
you,
way.
as far as you're concerned, though, you're grabbing it day one, that early access copy?
I guess that's all up to Target. They're pretty bad about day one deliveries. So,
Okay, reasonable.
but I have pre-ordered it. Yes.
We'll go to Dale. I don't know if you kind of want to follow up a little bit on what Luis was saying, Dale, or just kind of, what's how you feeling about the game? Are you grabbing it? You getting it in a couple days, or what's going on?
Yes. When I come back from where I'm going, I will definitely get it. I have to because my wife is a huge Harry Potter fan, and she's taught me all the things I need to know, or at least coached me through it. Like all the references and all this jazz. I don't know, but I have a former knowledge of it, and she'll be playing it and taking over either the Xbox or PlayStation 5 when we get back home.
That's hers now. You're like, this is my system now.
Right. Yeah. As far as the controversy through it, like I agree with everything that Luis just said. Like, J.K. Rowling is so far removed from the project anyway that it's just like, if you plan on supporting the devs, you should by all means go ahead and support the devs by buying it day one. And the fact that, like you said, they have transgender characters into the game already. So they're proving the fact that they kind of want to go against their I don't know, the creator's messaging or her personal stuff, and try to show that, like, hey, the message of Harry Potter, the universe itself, is a lot bigger than what J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, and it's up to you to think that that's authentic or not, right? And the reality of it is, like, as much as they want to distance themselves from the game, some of the kickbacks going back to it, right? Some of it is of course, she's going to get some of that cash. But go ahead, Dale.
Right, and I have spoken on this podcast many times about my reservations with the game because it looked kind of rough, and I was really worried that since this developer is kind of small and they've only done like really small like Disney titles, that they, having an action RPG of this size and this caliber is gonna be like a really tough sell for a lot of us that are just like, your track record isn't that reliable, but like, we'll give you a shot. So I'm glad that they're hitting the really good Metacritic scores that they've been hitting, and the sales have been supporting that. So it's gonna be pretty big for them.
Dalan, what do you think, man? As far as the controversy, your hype level for the game, or how you feeling? You're the one that's the least Harry Potter. Well, I guess you are a fan of high fantasy, which we talked about it off wax. You should have been there for this nonsense, Dale. He said, "What? I won't ask. I won't ask Dalan. I'll ask Luis because I think Luis will remember it better. But high fantasy is what, Luis? Like based on how many like races are in a story or something? How many dragons?
That's kind of what Dalan had mentioned, that because there's not necessarily different types of, even though there are. I mean, right? There's dwarves, there's orcs, there's trolls, there's whatever. So I don't know. It could be high fantasy. It could not. I don't know if it. Gonna deter or make people buy the game either way.
So I'm definitely like out on high fantasy, especially like the Skyrim type of stuff. Even Harry Potter's kind of like, this is a little weird. It's a little, whatever. But I'll watch it. I'm gonna finish watching it 7 times. But I will say I'm the least fan of the high fantasies or fantasies. Dalan, I guess, is third on the podcast, right? But you being the third least fan, I guess, of Harry Potter, Dalan. What do you think?
When it comes to Harry Potter, no, I don't delve into Harry Potter like that. That is true. And when it comes to high fantasy, the fact is that there's the level of fantasy, period. You get, as long as you have things that literally don't exist in your script, book, movie, whatever the hell it is, as long as you have things that don't normally exist, like got multiple races or monsters or like that, it's more than likely going to be listed as fantasy. The more depth you put into it, the more fantasy it becomes, and at some point it becomes high fantasy, especially when you got dragons talking about history that it's not placed on Earth, it's on some other planet. We can go into this. That's a whole deep thing.
Dalen, I look, I did this to myself. I'll be honest though, Dalen. I'll let you off the hook. Then I did this because you were definitely like waiting till I finished my sentence before you were like. But
right, so
Harry Potter.
Back to the topic itself.
Yeah.
Being for the Harry Potter game, quite honestly, I accidentally blacked out myself on this game. Like, I saw one cinematic trailer when the game was first announced, and after that, I saw nothing else. And every time a cinematic trailer came up, because I watch YouTube, and those little trailers keep popping up, I skip them as soon as I can, because I'm just trying to watch whatever I'm watching. But every time people are like, "Hey man, this game's coming out. Have you tried it? Have you done the beta?" I'm like, no, I haven't done any of that. I haven't seen any gameplay footage. I have absolutely no idea what this game is actually like. You guys are talking about how you yourself to houses. Is it MMO?
Okay?
I don't even know.
Okay, that's cool. But are you planning on playing it or not? Or you're just like your interest level is just that low?
With the amount of interest that you guys have, it is making me interested to want to try it with you guys. That's what that is. Right. As for the controversy of J.K. Rowling potentially impacting the game itself, I very much agree with both Dale and Luis. The fact is that everybody is entitled to their opinions, but again, if you don't like the game or if you don't want to support the game, just don't support the game. You can always walk away. Don't spend your money on something you don't like or something that you don't support. However, when it comes to J.K. Rowling herself, the fact is that if you write about something, write what you know. If she doesn't know about transgender
apparently
people,
she knows about high fantasy. Apparently she knows about high fantasy, Dalan.
She's got an imagination. She just can't put trans people into her story.
I don't even think that's the story, Dalan. I don't even think that's the story that Luis fully explained. But
I know he didn't explain it that
he created some other storyline.
You are on fantasy. Look,
I know there was a whole argument over what she said in regards to whether or not she could portray transgender people in her stories because somebody asked her.
Yeah, Dalan, you're out of control, man. Let me just look. Let's say you were not listening and you're out of control. But thank you, Dalan. But thank you for that.
Play the music.
Let's get him off the stage, man. But yes, look, Hogwarts Legacy is out this week. I'm gonna gamefly it, so I'll have some thoughts on it. One of the interesting mental gymnastics that I saw on Twitter though was, and that's not to. Maybe it is to criticize. I don't know. But I saw someone tweet out, I was like, it's so hard to not like this game when it's so good. It was like, I mean, just like enjoy it then. Like, what is, you're having this hard time wrapping your head. I was like, yeah, but her comments, but it's so good. So you know what? You guys have to make a decision for yourselves. I think it's both. All these points of views are valid. If you think you're going to support someone that's not,
except mine, apparently.
Well, Dan, it's because you're out of control, man. You're not even listening to the panel. All right.
I am.
The next thing, real quick, I'll mention I believe this was on IGN. They said you can actually kind of go a little evilish. I'm not really sure. I still got to watch all the movies, but they said you can learn 3 unforgivable curses: Avada Kedavra, Imperius, and Cruciatus. So if you Cruciatus, thank you very much. Cruciatus. So those are 3. Those are 3 you guys can learn in the game. Apparently, I'll know what that means once I watch the movies. I guess, hopefully, maybe we'll see. But you can go down an evil path as well if you so desire. We'll go into the next topic, our next headline here. And apparently, there's a lot of GaaS games dying, which is games as a service titles. The big one I think for us is Knockout City. That's ending June 6th. The developer is going to make a private server soon. And I looked it up, and this game came out in May 2021. So May 21, 2021. It's been out for almost pretty much 2 years. So they gave it kind of, I feel like, a little bit of rope there to kind of be like, okay, we're done with it. Back for Blood, we also got news from that. Turtle Rock Studios said they're ending development on that game, which that one's been out for a little while as well. CrossfireX ends May 18. That's actually on Game Pass. To me, the interesting part about that is that the Remedy made the campaign. I hear the game is kind of trash, boy, though, to be honest, but I kind of want to try it though, because it's Remedy. Remedy. I like Remedy. Rumbleverse only lasted 6 months. That's ending pretty soon as well. Other games: Echo VR, Apex Legends Mobile, Battlefield Mobile. This is kind of interesting to me. I think Knockout City was one of the ones like, really, they're gonna knock that one out apparently. But I was like, when's the last time we played it? It really has been a good while. But Dalan, I hope you were listening. What do you think about this, man? That these games are just kind of dying. I suppose it's dying off. What does that
I want to throw a rock at you, that's for sure. But
Okay,
I was
fair.
gonna say that when it comes to these types of games, just live service in general, really, you want to have a hook that you could continue to update and actually make some radical changes to it, or it's going to be hard to keep people interested. I'm actually still surprised that what was the name of the one that I'm going to drop his name for a minute, but Prue was upset that he didn't get his uniform for. What was that game?
Follies, Fall Guys.
Fall Guys. I'm a little
Yeah.
surprised at
Yeah.
Follies.
Follies. We called it Follies. Everything is E's at the end, Dale. Desties. My favorite. I don't know if I put it on wax already. What is it? The Callisti Protokeys. Everything's E's at the end. But yes, Follies.
But the fact is that I'm surprised that one is still going, but these are kind of getting shut down. And I'm like, okay, well, you couldn't make any type of radical updates. Like, what was it? PUBG had to completely change their game. Whatever that other one was that we were playing for a little while, where we were out in the H1Z1. The H1Z1 had to completely change their game because they had a whole pricing issue. But the fact is that if you can't make a game where you could radically improve it and get more people to get in or get people to come back, then it's not gonna last maybe more than a year or two. And what was it, Rumbleverse? 6 months?
Yeah, and apparently that's a quality one too, right? I mean, these are all like games as a service for the most part. They're like sort of free to play, right? So it's just kind of like I don't know. It's kind of I hope it's an indication of game companies are like, you know what? Let's make something that it's gonna sell 5-6 million copies, right? And we're gonna be happy with that, right? But unfortunately, I think that the cost of development, is just so high that to them, games as a service, like, this is the only way. And if this isn't working out, then it's what is gonna work out? Luis, what do you think about this, man? How do you think this, like the overall picture of this? I guess kind of how does it affect gaming? If that's your thought or
I don't know if it'll. Well, the only way I see it affecting gaming is if developers sort of learn from whatever these games did or didn't do and adapt like that. Like what Fall Guys actually did very early after release, they started seeing declining player base numbers and they made some drastic changes to their gameplay to get people to come back. Dalen's not aware of this apparently, but they completely like redesigned their gameplay to make it more enticing to get players to come back in, playing in groups of people or playing solo, and their numbers have been pretty strong. They still have a lot of players playing there, but when everyone was surprised, like I remember the chat blowing up like, "Oh, Knockout City down." I was like, none of you guys play it. Like, what are you talking about? You're like,
that's
it
fair.
was so fun. Damn, they're
That's
shutting
very
it down.
fair.
Like, I'm so upset.
Carlos,
like, if it was so fun, why don't you play it? Like, I don't.
That's very fair. That's very
Carlos
fair.
almost refused to buy it. He was like, "No, I just want it free on Game Pass."
Well, look, you know what? That's very fair for you to say, at least. I was thinking the same, and I was like, for whatever reason, I thought this thing came out like this last year, but it's been out for 2 years now. So at some point, some of these games, like, they reach the end of the line, right? But I think it's still kind of cool that they're gonna have a private server for it, right? A version of it, so it still sort of lives on. I don't know why there's like not a P2P version like Xbox 360 and Xbox has done forever, right? It's like, here you guys go, enjoy these no server ass games. Someone pick a good host. Dale, you did raise your hand. Thank you for raising your hand in front of the class.
Because I did say no on the rundown that I didn't want to comment about anything. But as you guys were talking about this, I was like, there wasn't a narrative about like how these games as a service titles came out, because I feel like over the last 2 years during the pandy, like it's just been like they've been really popular, right? Only because they wanted to bank on a lot of people staying at home playing video games. Kind of like how when like apps first came on like the iPhone or whatever like that, there's this gold rush of like everyone trying to make as many apps as possible to try to get like, money or, for microtransactions like Flappy Bird and all those kinds of things. So maybe they're just saying like, oh, now we can't support it because you're right. Like it's expensive to support these titles with like servers and everything in the current gaming climate, as opposed to like just having it language there, some sort of like app server somewhere. So that kind of makes sense to me. Like not everything, not everyone could play everything at the same time. So
Yeah.
only the best of the best is staying around.
Yeah, and I think you brought it up, right? We're in the post-Pandy era. In the post-Pandy era, where it still exists, it's still there, right? The numbers have gone down, thankfully.
Hit you up on it because this is not a game.
But it's not a game.
You added the E to the end of it. This is not a game.
It's fun. I'm taking it. That's great.
But it's definitely, yes, I think, and we've been hearing about layoffs left and right and stuff like that, and I think maybe this is also part of it too, right? It's like like you were saying, Dale, we can't just have these just dying out there on the vine, and we don't know what else to do. It's dodgeball. The fuck
Literally,
else do you want from us?
Tens of thousands of apps on your iPhone or Android die all the time. This should be the kind of expectation when it comes to like
true.
these kinds of
I
games
think it's
nowadays.
just a matter of like it came at us like quick, left like the games like in the last week or so, last weekend, right? Like shutting down. We're not working on it. Shutting down. So, but hey, enjoy your GaaS titles as they live. And at some point they might die, so just be ready for that. We'll go into quick takes real quick. This one might be just.
Dalan has his hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Dale. My bad. Okay, thank you, Dale.
Okay, we're moving on.
No. Go ahead, Dalan, and we'll let you have the last word here.
I was thinking the one thing that they could have did with Knockout, if they wanted to actually keep it going, is they could have went the route of Overwatch and just created specific types of characters to each have their own method of playing dodgeball. You got one who's really good at defense, one who's really good at speed, one who's really good at attack. But everybody was the same, and you just had.
I think they did do that though. From what I remember, they were all slightly a little different. One was heavier. One was no. You sure? Okay.
Nah.
But then you got stuff like Rocket League. Rocket League essentially is everyone has the same.
Rocket League
car.
is soccer. You have
and it's amazing.
Rules, and it's amazing.
Yes.
And on top of that, they actually do give you different modes that you can play every so often.
Yeah.
And like their shit is expensive, so everybody's like everything's exclusive.
Yeah, so I mean they could have looked at something like Rocket League where basically you kind of have it's all based on your skill, right? The cars each have different shapes and stuff like that, but other than that, it's like it's skill based, right? They just needed to look at something like that, I guess. But it's dodgeball, man. How much can you play dodgeball?
Yeah, well, how much can you play soccer with cars? The problem is there's no other game that has soccer with cars.
Dude. I think I've said it on Wax, but Rocket League is like the perfect game, dude. It's up there with like Tetris, man. Tetris. I don't care if this sounds blasphemous to people, but the two perfect games are Tetris and Planet Puzzle League's pretty damn good too. But Tetris and Rocket League, man, those are like the two perfect games, all right? But in Planet Puzzle League, fuck, that game's good. But anyways, we'll go on to the next and quick takes on this. This one might just be for me, or maybe I can kind of coax Dalan to say something here. But the Final Fantasy VII Remake director, Yoshinori Kitase, did say that changes were necessary to keep people's interest for the game. He said, quote, "The result of the changes is that for Part 2 and Part 3, we are able to give fans the excitement of wondering which parts will be 100% faithful to the original and where the new elements will be added." As you know, Dalan, for me, I've only really played so much of Final Fantasy VII, but I think for you, is that part of it? I would think it's part of it, right? It's part of the like, okay, what do they change? What don't they change, right? And I know like for the remake, it's kind of in a way, it's kind of a sequel, sort of, kind of. The changes.
Well, yes, I will say something just for the sake of saying it.
Okay,
but when it came to the idea that they were splitting a 3-disc game that was all one game launched all at the same time because they could fit it into a little case, and releasing it as 3 different games, our only question was how far into the story is each game going to go? How many different releases are they going to have? Are they going to have a part 4? Because I believe that when we started this whole Final Fantasy VII Remake thing, they were talking about it going to be 4 parts. And then they turned it around and they're like, no, it's going to be 3 parts. And then you're thinking, well, what are they cutting out? I understand that there's going to be different stuff because times have changed significantly. But how much of the story are they gonna be able to cover in that period of time? They stretched out Midgar into one whole game. That took way too long.
Hey, they got things started. They got things revved up. All right, so 2 and 3 are gonna be extra long or something, I think. And there was an Avatar 7, 8, and 9, and at some point you gotta be like, no, we got fire, we got water, we got earth animals. They just split up. Dale, do you have any thoughts on this, or do we move on to the next thing here? I know you put an A. I know you put an A.
I don't know. Like I'm trying to catch up on the news for that what happened, but like I don't know. They could go a totally different route because like I probably played the same amount of Final Fantasy VII that you did, Carlos. Because I never finished the original one. It got spoiled like way too early for me, and so like I just
you
never
only got spoiled on
it.
one part, and you know it was just one part.
Yeah, true.
that's only a third of the way through the game. There's way more stuff that happened.
It's still good.
I have been playing the rest of it on my Steam Deck, and I'm up to the part where no, I don't want to say it because I would be spoiling.
No, here's the question: are you still in Midgar? That's the only question.
No, I'm totally out of there. I've been out of there for hours.
Then you're already past Carlos. Because that's only the guy at Midgar and he stopped.
That's true. That's true. I was like, this is the part one where part one ends, right? So that's what I'm going to do. But so if you play Remake, I don't know if you played Remake, Dale, but Remake is switching things up. So I kind of like it, though.
They already kind of did, right? So you kind of expect part 2 and 3 to follow in the same kind of path. And it shouldn't be one for one at this point at all. So we'll see how it works out. It's kind of interesting. He's right. It's interesting to see what the differences are from the original release compared to the newer ones, especially the remake. And I mean, it's totally possible. We're already seeing that in like the Last of Us HBO show. So
I was about to say, right, when we talk about the Last of Us and a little later on, we'll talk. There's some changes. There's some like diversions that they've taken, and even a little further more in the last episode. The next thing we have on here is there is the first Grammy for a video game music. I was excited for it because like, oh cool, that's interesting. What kind of award did they win? And then I was like, oh no, they just made one for video games. It's called Best Score Soundtrack for Video Games. I was like, I thought it would have won, like I would have been more excited, right? Like, oh, it won like a legit, just a general soundtrack, but now they made up an award for it. But it is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, so at the very least, I guess the Grammys, they're an institution, right? They're like recognizing things, I suppose. But Dale, what do you think besides Dalen's laughter on it? What do you think about this?
So I didn't watch the entire show. I just saw the clip of the guy announcing the winner, and he didn't even know how to read it. He's just like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. He didn't know how to say the award winner. It was hilarious, man. That's the only clip that I saw. Yeah, it's cool that it's out there, but there's got to be more categories than that. A lot of these musicians put a lot of themselves in the music, so come on, guys.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's like the Game Awards got like 100 million viewers. Okay, I know what we'll do. Throw in a video game award. Yeah, let's do that. Let's throw in a video game.
They're gonna try to funnel gamers over to the Emmy side.
A couple, man. I'm not watching no Grammy situation, man. But I'll hear about it on the internet. The next thing we have on here, Star Wars Jedi Survivor will have fast travel, which was a much requested feature. That's according to IGN. And also the game has been delayed from March 17th to April 28th. It's supposed to drop the same day as Dead Island 2 or around that time. So there's gonna be sort of a little blast radius, I guess. We'll see how that pans out. They did delay the game because they said, quote, they want to hit the Respawn quality bar, end quote. We'll go to Luis. We haven't heard from Luis in a little while from The Void. So what do you think, Luis? What are you thinking about either the fast travel or the delay?
I remember saying no on this one.
Oh, you put no on this one? My bad. Hey, we're live. Hey, just so you guys know, when you don't listen live, we cut all this out, but because it's live, you get to hear it, right? I think.
Permanent.
So, Dalan, we'll go to Dalan. Dalan, what do you think, man? What do you think about this new features or the fact that it's delayed? What do you think?
I think it's delayed because they're adding this feature. But in reality, yes, they needed this feature because there was a point where I was stuck on a planet. I was like, wait, I want to go to this other planet. And I accidentally went down the wrong path. And I was on the other side of the planet. And there was no way I was getting back to my ship without finishing the whole ordeal that was there. I was like, just got to save it here. And I'm going to have to live on this planet now.
I'm just going to have to live here. That's fair.
It was way more of an ordeal than I expected it to be when I ended up in that section too. Yeah. I was like, man, I just want to get back to my ship. I don't even care what's happening right now.
Dude, I'm playing this thing on easy, man. Or whatever. I remember switching it to easy, and it was still kind of hard, man. It's sort of, like we said. Yeah, I know you don't agree, Dalan, but it's kind of like a Dead Souls-y type of game. So,
You're only saying that because you got to have that. You got to do that counter button thing. There are are plenty of games that has the counter.
Dalen, yeah, like Bayonetta and Ninja Gaiden. Yeah, I get that. No, I know what I said. You have to go pick up your equipment. There, you have to go pick up your inventory. All right, that you drop after you die.
No, just your experience.
Dale, what do you think, man? What do you think about this here? It's a little news.
You know, it was really funny when I saw the news of this break on Twitter. Like, a lot of people were kind of mad that they're changing it up like this, even though these were like frustrations. And I mean, they're fixing it for a lot of people that hated the fast travel system, and especially like you, Carlos, who just don't want to backtrack, mowing through other enemies trying to get your stuff back. So I think it's fine. What they should have done is give us the choice. Like, they should have given us the choice if we wanted fast travel enabled.
Yeah, you don't have to use fast travel if you don't.
Or
want
you don't
to.
have to do it. Right. Yeah.
But I will say this when it comes to just the idea of introducing fast travel, you would think that based on the maps that they had for the first game, I don't know how many of you actually beat the first game, but just based on but just based on the size of the maps, those were very traversable one way or the other. But if they make bigger maps, I'm gonna want fast travel.
All right. What do you think, Dale? We'll give you the last thought before Dalan steps on your lines again. Dale, what else, man?
Don't make me throw a rock at you, Carlos. Fuck your couch.
Oh my God, no!
I like it.
Whoa. No, I'm just saying. I'm looking forward to Jedi Survivor. I'm not gonna pre-order it day one. I just want to wait and see like what's gonna go down with it and everything. But yeah, I'm really excited. I hope most people are, because the first game was really good. I feel like.
We're gonna be too busy playing Dead Island.
The other thing that I think both of you guys are kind of a little hyped about, we got a new Nina reveal and gameplay trailer for Tekken 8. They also announced that there's going to be a closed alpha test coming to select locations starting in EVO Japan 2023, which is kind of interesting, right? When we get these like alpha tests or beta tests, it's usually just like, just download it here, have it. But no, I guess you're gonna have to go to some physical locations. But what do you think, Dalan? Did you get a chance to watch the Nina reveal and all that, the new trailer?
No, I was already at the point of shut up and take my money.
Oh, okay.
I am ready for Tekken 8. I've been waiting years for the next Tekken game to come out. I've been playing Tekken 7 for too long, looking at the lathering of Vaseline across the screen on my HD
7 years.
TV.
7 freaking years.
So we need a new Tekken, regardless of, well, I'm not going to say regardless of its quality, but I know by now that they will have much better quality than what I have in Tekken 7. Stop releasing characters. Give me the next game.
All right, Dale, since I'm assuming you did watch the trailer, you didn't go complete blackout, right? What do you think? Ooh. What did you see from this trailer?
Nina looks fine as hell. Although she's covered up in like leather. She actually looks more like Wesker.
She's got her assassin thing going on.
Yeah, she's got more of an assassin thing on. She doesn't have like the bridal gear that she's always, rocking sometimes.
But you know she's an assassin. They made a whole separate game of Nina.
They made a whole thing about that. Yeah. But like the gameplay looks really good. They're definitely gonna change it up where it's gonna be a lot more offensive focused. Because they have meters in Tekken now. That's for everyone, not just like Akuma. And so they're definitely wanting to have more offensive focus and less defense, which is going to be kind of shitty. But whatever, we'll see how it works. It looks beautiful. Like they showed not only Nina, but they showed more of what's his name, Brian, and Paul. So like they look amazing, and they showed a couple of the mechanics that they're changing up. And it's gonna be wacky, dude. Like, I can't wait.
It's gonna be wacky.
I want that alpha. I want the alpha in America, but I don't know if they're gonna do it. I'm not gonna travel to Japan, EVO Japan, but I can't wait to watch the matches.
Yeah, there you go. So there you go. Closed alpha test. They might come out here. They're like an arcade potentially somewhere that they can
find. The likelihood of that is like so low. It's not even
so funny. We'll see.
I'm down to watch it too.
Keep your hopes up, Dalan. The next thing on here real quick, Dragon Age Dreadwolf does have gameplay out there, so sort of a lot of the gameplay leaked. People are complaining that it looks a little mobile game-ish, but also sort of in the God of War style. So that kind of gives me the impression that it's like it's not going to be an Inquisition. It's not going to be another Dragon Age as we know it. Dalan, were you able to see any of it, or are you kind of hyped for the next Dreadwolf? What do you think?
when I first heard that Dragon Age 3 was coming out, I believe that, or at least when they announced it as Dragon Age 3, I was looking forward to like the third person view and attacking with my person. But then Dragon Age Inquisition came out, and I was like, what the fuck is this? So I think this is a little more exciting when it comes to a Dragon Age game. I just hope they could fix their story, because that's really where they dropped the ball. As soon as part 2 came out, the ball was dropped across the board.
Dragon Age Dreadwolf, fix your story. All right, official like request from Dalan here. The next thing we have on here is Destiny 2 Lightfall. That's coming out in a couple weeks. I'm kind of hyped about it. I'm dropping, as I've said on Wax, I'm dropping the $100 on it. All right, I'm doing it. I'm just whatever, man. I don't want to miss no keys. I don't want to miss any dungeons. Just give me the whole thing, damn it. But we finally know, as you know, I don't know if you've played them, Dale, but they dropped the game. They let you level up for a little bit, and then a raid drops, which right now March 10th. That's about 2 weeks, Dalan? 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the game drops. So March 10th at 9 a.m. that raid is gonna be up. Are we doing a little? Oh, it's a Friday, huh?
Well, aside from that, we can still do it Saturday, but the issue isn't that. Yeah. The issue is having a group. We need a group. I don't care if we don't finish the raid, but let's try it. And we just need to get people together.
That's fair. It's me, you at least, maybe one more person. Luis is kind of getting up to speed. Luis, what do you think, man? I know I sent this out in the chat and you put like a sad face or a mad face about this or something.
I put a mad face in
So
it.
please to explain why you are
upset.
Because
we're not going to do this. Like, we're not going to finish this. We're not going to do this.
What?
You guys keep telling me every time I play Destiny, damn, we got to do a raid. We'll do a raid. Hey, you haven't done a raid. I've never done a raid.
I've already done it, though. Look, Dalan has no excuse because he's like, I'll run you through everything. I've never said I'll run you through everything because I've already done a lot of this.
No, you said you would join us on the raid.
Okay. Yes, you did, Carlos.
Okay, just got to find the time then. Shit.
Hey, I can tell you right now, if you guys want to run raids until that point comes up, I'm down to just do LFG. You just gotta deal with randos.
That's true. And if we're only picking up 3 other people, it could be doable.
When it drops, we'll have us 3, Jeremy, and I'm sure Brian will hop on. So
yeah,
Brian's gotta catch up.
He'll be fine, dude. He takes care of his business, man.
What? Luis, what else, man? Pile it on, man. Pile it on. How else are we disappointing you? How else are we disappointing you in Destiny?
Oh no, that's it. Just the raids. Right. Just the raids. I'm gonna mind my own business and do some quest lines when this drops, and you guys can play whenever you want. That's it.
Really quick, I want to put it on. I just want to put it on wax for everybody who's listening. Beyond Light is free for the PlayStation Essential this month, so if you haven't gotten it, pick it up.
There you go. Next thing we have on here, Game Informer. It did drop 13 minutes of Chapter 5 gameplay for Resident Evil 4 Remake. That's out there. I'm on blackout, so I'm like not looking at anything. I know that people online were complaining about the rain. Do you know anything about the rain day or anything like that people were upset? What's that before we go into whatever other thoughts you have, I guess? What's up with this rain situation that people are upset
during the gameplay, it's like around the church area and around the village area. And so when you have Leon enter and exit like a covered room or something like that, like it kind of just stays with you and it's kind of blank, and then all of a sudden like the raindrop like just smattering all across the screen. It looks like to the point where it looks fake. So they need to tone it down a little bit, honestly.
You mean like they put like the rain on the camera for Leon and it's just over the screen or something like that?
Yeah, a little bit.
But it looks weird. Like it's pouring, but weird. Like it just looks.
It's like little white streaks. Instead of like kind of clear, so it looks like it looks like a filter. That's what it looks like. It's going on.
It's gonna be out of control, man. That's gonna lose like 2 points off of my review score right there, dude. If the rain isn't right, but from anything else,
the rain's gonna be right. With water graphics,
water graphics matter, man. The water graphics matter so much that when I go watch a movie or something, a live action movie, I'm like, what's up with those water graphics? There's pretty good water graphics going on in this live action film. But what else have you seen? I guess, did you watch this whole clip? Did you watch the 13-minute thing, Dale?
I'm skimming through it right now.
Dalen, I didn't say Dalen. I said Dale, man. You watch whatever you're watching in silence, please. Dale, what? Come on, man. Dale, from what you see.
I browsed through it. I watched the entire thing. And yeah, it looks like Resident Evil 4, just like really prettied up. And the action looks a lot more intense this time because you have a lot more options in your combat wheel. And then also you get to see the trader guy, the Australian guy, who says like, "What are you buying?" He's still in the thing, so he's there. So they're definitely not going to change. And what from what the developer was saying, they're not going to change too much of RE4, their formula with RE4, as opposed to some of the other ones where they kind of like rearranged a lot of things. So they're gonna it's their tried and true bread and butter remake that they've. How many versions of RE4 are there? They're not gonna screw this one up.
Yeah.
And yeah, it looks solid.
It's coming out pretty soon, right? It's coming out.
I don't want to tell you more because you are.
Yeah. I'm on blackout.
Yeah,
I'm on blackout.
You're on blackout right now.
Even though we played this game already. Go ahead, Dalan. Before we move on.
I only have the one question. Do you still have to find those blue coins?
They're still there. They are definitely still there. Yes.
What are you buying indeed? The next thing we have on here, It Takes Two sells 10 million copies. This is a quote from Hazelight Games. They said, "Our minds are officially blown. Hashtag It Takes Two has sold over 10 million copies. Potentially twice as many players have enjoyed our game. We never dared to dream of so many fans. Thank you for all the love." I know this was our game of the year, 2021. We got Com's game of the year, and we are still talking about this game. Dalan, when do we stop talking about It Takes Two, man? I'm happy that they sold 10 million copies, but
hey man, It Takes Two it was just too good. I don't need to stop talking about it until they come out with the next game that he announced and we're all waiting for.
And also remember fuck the Oscars, right? Dale, what do you think? What do you think about them saying 10 million are out there?
Well deserved, man. Like we've named it Game of the Year for our outlet, so I'm not surprised. At the same time, like we should be spreading more of the gaming goodness and telling everyone just keep playing this thing. I want this thing to be huge, at least to make a sequel of some kind.
Yeah.
But like someone also put out on Twitter saying like if you were to give a video game to someone who's never played a video game before, like what video game would you give them? And I was like, this is kind of a good candidate. It Takes Two is kind of like a co-op story kind of thing where you could play with someone, teaching them the game mechanics and it has a good sampling of all these other game mechanics you'll find in other video games that are part of those games. So I was like, that might be a good entry point for someone who's never played a video game.
It'd be a good entry point, but it takes some coordination, man. So hopefully they're a good entry point to like, this is how you control a 3D character. They gotta at least know that basics. But yeah, the story is smooth, such smooth gameplay. I like how it's just basically mathed it out though for us to make it game of the year, right? It's like it was in everyone's list, kind of higher up there. But did you have something else, Dalan, on that, or we can move on to the next thing?
There's more so on Daniel's point of if you had to give somebody a brand new game, what would it be? I don't know if this would really be the best entry point because of that platforming, and sometimes it takes some real reflexes to be able to play that game. But for me, I've actually had a couple of people ask me, "Hey, Dalan, what game should I play?" And I would throw them on a game. The easiest thing for them to get into to actually be an entry point is actually an RPG. Just a good RPG.
Which one?
Yeah, preferably high fantasy. Done. No, I mean,
preferably high.
I mean, Dan, it's Tetris, man. You get them on Tetris, dude. You just press the diagonals, or not the diagonals.
Put them on Beyond. What was it? Beyond Two Souls. Put them on Beyond Two Souls. Give them something.
Hey, give something to look at. Put them on Detroit. Put them on Detroit. Put them on Detroit. Tell them to get all the trophies. That's the first experience. The next thing, real quick, PlayStation 5 has passed Sega Genesis at 30.75 million hardware sold. PlayStation 5 is at 32.1 million hardware sold. They said, quote, moving 7.1 million in the holiday quarter. So good for PS5. They might be out there. They might be out there potentially, I'm assuming, if they're selling so many of them. The next thing on here is God of War Ragnarok sells 11 million in 3 months. So I like that It Takes Two is kind of celebrating 10 million, and God of War is like, oh, what did we say a few episodes? Let me dump on them from a great height. Here we go. 11 million in 3 months. 11 million in 3 months. Sony Santa Monica said, we're incredibly humbled that God of War Ragnarok has officially sold through 11 million copies. None of this would be possible without the support of our fans. So thank you for coming on this journey with us. And I feel like it deserves it, man. It's deservedly so. This is such our other game of the year of this past year, 2022. We got Com's game of the year, God of War Ragnarok. What do you think, Dalan?
I think, hey man, we already said it's game of the year. What'd you think was gonna happen? Of course, it's gonna sell a whole lot. Don't even worry about God of War. You put God of War name on it, and you actually do it a little bit of justice. It's gonna sell.
You made a statement there, Dalan. You made a statement there. We'll move on to what you've been playing. Dale has played nothing apparently. Nothing. You've been.
That's the name of the game, man. Nothing. It's blackness.
Dale, I'm assuming you've been preparing for this trip, right? There's a trip coming up. We won't see you for how many episodes, Dale? How many
years?
Episodes?
At least 3.
Okay.
3
all
years.
Right. So just so the fans know, no, three episodes, just so we know, the fans out there. We're gonna miss Dale, but you might be sending some dispatches from the void, right? Some transmissions, I guess, from wherever you're at, potentially, or no?
I will. I mean, I will. Yes, I will try to have Wi-Fi access as much as possible.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I'll keep in touch, man.
Right.
I'll watch.
And look, it's a vacation. Maybe a couple little videos though, little quick little videos
Definitely.
of where you are and that kind of thing.
I don't have TikTok or whatever, but it'll be definitely on Twitter. So.
Okay.
Hey, don't forget your sat phone. Don't forget your sat phone.
Oh, sat phone indeed. We'll go to Luis. Luis, what have you been playing, man? Let's get to what's going on here.
I'm still playing Google the Game, aka Destiny 2. So yeah, getting through my quest lines. I did some Crucible, did some Iron Banners, leveling up there. Yeah, just trying to finish up all the quest lines I can that aren't locked behind Beyond Light until tomorrow, when I get it for free from PlayStation Plus. So yeah, once that drops, I'll be able to wrap up those quest lines and then I guess get ready for what's the new one? There's something about light, right? Or Lightfall.
Yeah, Lightfall's coming out in a couple.
Just getting ready for Lightfall after I close off all those Beyond Light quests that I can't finish, even though they're halfway done already.
Hey man, you're gonna pick it up for free. You'll get it done.
I do like how I was like, hey, Iron Banner's up, so that's like one of the events that's going on right now. You're like, I need help. Do you still feel? You can't solo into Iron Banner, right, Luis? Is that what
I was fine. I did fine.
All right.
Little Malfeasance did the trick.
Okay. Oh, is that why you have the staff or something? He's over here shooting with the staff. I'm like,
no, that's a glaive. I'm talking about the Malfeasance, that cannon, the hand cannon.
Okay.
It's a nice looking spiral hand cannon. It looks like it was carved out of a tree.
Yeah. Dale, you've been playing Destiny too, right? And then we'll get to the other game that Luis has been playing. But what's your feelings about Destiny, to keep it on Destiny?
All right, to keep it on Destiny, I've actually been helping Luis out and trying to get through some of this Destiny stuff. And even Luis is now teaching me stuff because we had to go find these bodies and follow the trails. I'm like, what the hell is happening? And of course, you did the Google.com thing. So we were trying to finish this quest, and it's still ongoing. But
how many steps, Dalan? How many steps are part of this quest that you guys are working on?
No. The one quest is just one step,
Okay.
but you can only get one. You have to collect these. I can't remember what they're called. They're like qualicoras or something. Qualicora. You have to collect these qualicoras, and you can only get one a day. Mm-hmm. So you have to go back the next day and then find another body, and then find the qualicora. It's not too hard to do it. You just got to do it like every day or as often.
But what's the highest step thing that you guys have been involved in? Like, is there one that's active currently? What step of how many steps are you in?
Dude, a lot of these things have many steps, but the one that you're referring to, Carlos, is I brought up the fact that there was an exotic quest that was really nice. The new season of the Seraph, I've been doing the actual event for it, like going to do the new arenas that they have and the story that comes with it. It's actually a really nice story. It's the one about the Exo Stranger, and you got to go and do a bunch of stuff, but the missions are totally different and they change like every time. And I assure you, Carlos, it's one of those things where you're like, hey man, how come we don't get these nice missions just for free? I'm telling you now, Carlos, this is one of those points where you can get one of those nice missions.
Remember, I want to do it. I'm ready. Look, I'm ready. I'm just disappointed you don't answer the question. There's like a 32-step quests, Dalan, or a 60-step? 54.
No,
Why don't you just
Carlos,
answer the question, man?
no,
54-step quest.
every season they have one of these, and you cannot progress in that quest until the next week. You've done this too before, Carlos.
It's wacky, man. I'm gonna jump in though.
They do the weekly thing.
You know what?
But
Whatever,
we're on
fine.
week 9.
Hey,
we're on week 9. You can do like all the steps. all
hey,
at once
I've
right
been
now.
trying to get rid of Forspoken, dude. I'm close. I'm like a level or two away. I'm close, and then I'll
You're
dip
having
into
a
some
Sonic
Destiny.
Frontiers issue. You're like, I just gotta beat this.
Let it
now.
go. Let it go.
What else? I'm there, dude. See, Dave, you were trying to talk about it's your honorable mentions over here. Talking like I was just trying to get through it, man. Good job on that honorable mention, Dalan. Right, Sonic Frontiers. Yeah, at this point it's like a level, dude, or two. I'm there. Luis, anything else on Destiny before Luis kind of gets to his other game, Dalan?
Hey man, I'm just saying, do the Season of the Seraph stuff. Even if you don't do anything else right now, do that at least.
I'll mess with it. Luis, how's God of War Ragnarok going?
Yeah, so I started it up again a few days ago, and it's been a long time since I played this game. Like sometime in December, mid-December.
And it was on
late
hard
December.
mode.
It's on the hardest mode. Give me God of War, and it was rough, man. It was rough coming back to that game. It was. I'm dying at literally every single encounter right now, just trying to get used to the controls and the combat again, getting the timing right. Because basically, I kind of. It was working at the time, but the setup I have right now, the shield that I'm using, it's the weakest shield, but it gives you the most benefit when you parry at the right time.
Oh, that's what
I was using.
I think that's the one I
So
used
right
too.
now on Give Me God of War, that thing gives you no leeway. Like there's no room for error on that thing. And it's rough, man. Blocking is rough right now. So
Do
I'm
you
trying to
feel?
get used to it.
I don't know who put it on. Was it Dale? Maybe put it on Twitter or something like that. That you're like, this is how I feel when I've come back to a game after 6 months of not playing it or something.
No, it was like when you finally beat that boss where you died like 14 times or whatever. That's
Yeah,
what the thing.
that's how you're feeling. Okay.
Yeah,
God
it's
of War
just
Ragnarok.
literally every single encounter when I finish it, it feels like that.
There you go.
But
What
you feel accomplished.
you feel that?
Sure, I guess. I mean,
Or you feel like you just barely got away, like to the next step, like you're crawling
like,
away
can
from
I
the
just see
battlefield.
the story, please. Like,
Hey,
I just
man.
want to kill these two enemies that I can't get past right now.
Dude, even on normal, there was a couple levels where I remember like, this is rough. I need to figure out what I need to do. So I can't even imagine putting it on the hardest difficulty.
Not everybody has finished this game, right? 'Cause I mean, I'm still playing.
I've gotten pretty deep into it at this point, but I have not finished it.
Dale's going on a field trip across the world to avoid playing this game, so he's definitely not playing God of War Ragnarok. I'm sure he'll play it at some point. The next thing, of course, what I've been playing, I'm still playing Splatoon 2, the Octo expansion. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's sort of it's kind of a mix of a bunch of different levels. There's one level that I was playing, it was like Super Monkey Ball, so that was kind of cool. There's another one that you're playing like billiards, so I think they definitely kind of got a little crazy with the level expansions on this. I like it. One of the cool things in it is that they have like fake chat rooms, which is kind of cool. Like they'll be like, this person entered the chat, and there's like, you're so old, man. He's like, what do I need to click? The stuff that we do in our chat is like, oh, this people doesn't know how to use the chat or whatever. So I see there's a bunch of cool little jokes when you go into the chat that's worth going into. But my favorite thing so far, and Dale mentioned this last week as far as like how we kind of like stuff around here, but the music in it is kind of amazing, dude. I'm impressed with the music in Splatoon 2 Octo expansion. I make sure to have the AirPods on. By the way, underrated, those little AirPod functionality on the Switch that they finally like toggled the switch on to use Bluetooth headphones is kind of incredible. They sound so super nice. But yeah, and I did mention, as I mentioned before, is I'm still playing Forspoken. I'm pretty much almost to the end. I have like a level left, and I do agree with a lot of what people were saying, that it takes forever to get good things. Like one of the moves that I kind of use now forever after I got it was like I got it like halfway through, so there's like 12 chapters. I think I got it. A melee attack I barely got like at level like 6 or whatever, chapter 6, and I'm like, this is ridiculous, man. I should have been having this melee attack since the very beginning. Otherwise you have like a range attack. But I mean, you know how much I love my fantasy, Dalan, right? You know how much I love my fantasy and my ranged attacks. So you know I was having fun for 4 or 5 fucking chapters with ranged attacks.
As soon as I played the demo, I warned you that it was very magic heavy based, and that you would be very, very frustrated with it. And I'm sure you are the whole way through.
That's what I'm saying. I finally got a melee weapon that I can slash away at people, and then it's doable. It's still wacky. I don't know. I think I'm liking the story a little bit more. Maybe I think I'm kind of seeing what people are saying about the story. It's very woke-ish, which is fine. But I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like the direction it's going in. But other than that, it's like the gameplay's the gameplay, dude. It's just, how do you get a melee weapon halfway through the game? That shit's just ridiculous, man. They're literally saying, enjoy these ranged attacks. You're barely fucking doing anything, but that's fine. Halfway through, you'll get your melee weapon. That's it.
Melee magic.
That's it for me, man. I think I'm sending this thing back. I'm trying to send it back. I'm going to lie to Gamefly and tell them I sent it earlier. But I should be getting the Hogwarts Legacy game soon enough this week when I send back Forspoken. Dalan, what have you been playing before we kind of get into our little bonus post-podcast material here?
The last thing I actually had been playing was, at some point, Jeremy Lowe, who was on this podcast previously, he brought up the fact that he was not too happy with Cris Tales. He said it was something that he wasn't too sure about. It threw him off for the way the gameplay was, and he didn't like the fighting mechanics. I was like, you know what, let me try it myself, because I was excited for it when I first saw it, because it looked beautiful in the trailers, and it actually didn't disappoint me. It is an RPG, which is something Jeremy Lowe can do, but the past, present, and future thing very much threw me off. They very much detailed the hell out of this game. It's like running through Foster's House of Imaginary Friends or whatever, but it's still a really good RPG. So I don't know where his brain went while he was playing this game, but it's fine, man. It's a good game.
It's good, man.
I'm definitely going to play through it.
All right, there you go. Hey, well, that's been a podcast. We did it live. I don't know if we're live or not. I don't know if the link is working. Maybe at some point we can figure out.
We're still up. We're fine.
Yeah, we're doing it live, I suppose. And yeah, we don't do too much editing, so people are going to be like, what the fuck? The live one and the other one is the same. It's like, yeah, we kind of slap it together, but it's fine. But look, I'm Carlos Macias, the master of what you say, Dalan?
The master of paper mache.
Paper mache. Thank you very much, Dalan Coco from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining us. You're not sticking around for this episode of The Last of Us, huh?
No, I'll stick around for it. I'm still gonna watch it regardless, but I'll talk with you about it.
All right, Dan. There's gonna be some spoilers. We're going
I
full
don't care.
spoiler
Don't spoil
mode.
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Hey,
Uh-oh.
Dalan. Okay. Hey, he's like, we're live. We're doing it. Dale Bloss, the king of Mid Bay. Thank you for joining us, sir. You're gonna be going on a trip. For those who don't stick around for the post show here, we'll see him in a few weeks. We'll see him in a couple weeks. Have a good trip. And Luis Mendez from The Void, thank you for joining us as well, sir. He's definitely he's pointed.
Oh no,
we broke Luis. We broke Luis potentially.
I was just waiting for you to close the show.
Okay, all right, fair, very fair. Luis Mendez on the wheels of steel. And we'll go right into it. This is the post material for the Salient Points. This is we're gonna talk about The Last of Us episode 4 on this mini scene tint. I believe it's episode 3. You would think I would line up the.
This is episode 4.
No, this is episode 3, David, of the minis.
Of Scene Tit.
Of the Scene Tit minis. It's wacky. I was about to say. I like how it's off like that.
Wait, haven't we done an episode for every episode?
Carlos
we have.
is right. Don't think about it too much, Dalan.
I like how Lisa's like, damn it, shit, my symptoms are acting up from The Void. Damn it, can we get into this shit? Yeah, Carlos Macias, the master of puppetry, I think Dalan said. We got Dalan Kirkwood.
You're the master of puppetry today.
We got Dalan Kirkwood. We got Dale Bloss as well, and then we got Luis Mendez from The Void. The funny thing about this episode is that Dalan hasn't seen episode 4, but we told him, hey, if you stick around, you're gonna have to listen to the spoilers. But we're gonna start it off like this. Dale put a tweet out. He put HBO's The Last of Us. I'm assuming you break down the 4 episodes, right, Dale?
They're very generalized.
Okay,
yes.
So HBO's The Last of Us, episode 1. It looks like a happy face. The little kid is happy. Episode 2, happy, but not open mouth happy. Episode 3, it's got the heart, got the little heart eyes. If you guys seen the heart eye emoji,
the love emojis.
And then episode 4, you got the like straight faced emoji, like kind of like So, Dale, what if you want to kind of keep it as smoky as possible, man? But were you potentially, quite possibly, disappointed with The Last of Us episode 4?
Yes.
Okay, tell us why, sir. Tell us why.
Only because from a high of episode 3, it was just like super generic episode 4, and I understand that they had to get through it because this is a part of the game where just you're traveling with Joel and Ellie to start heading over to Wyoming to go meet his brother, and so it's just like it's a car trip thing going on, and it's just like, okay, this is boring. The exposition was kind of boring and super generic. I don't know if you want to talk about the changes that they made.
Well, look, I mean, if it's part of like why you're disappointed, I mean, one of the big ones
I'm not
want to
disappointed in those changes. I'm just saying that like, that's part of the discussion we should talk about.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things is, of course, instead of going to like Pittsburgh, they actually go to Kansas City in this episode, right? So that's kind of a big change. They introduced a couple characters. They introduced Perry and Kathleen which I thought they were from the game, but I'm like, wait, they're not from the game anywhere, and they're not, right? They're new characters. Right, so that's kind of one of the changes to the game, which so far I'm like sort of okay with. Do you feel like those changes are like kind of leading you towards that's part of why I don't like it, or no? No, okay,
no, because it's actually kind of exciting to me. Like, oh, like where are they gonna go? It's a total mystery to me how they were gonna do it. I was disappointed with like in the game when they get to Pittsburgh, they go through like this like traffic block because it's basically a human trap, right? And it was kind of
Kansas City, right? Kansas City, right?
Well, in the game it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
but
in the game, yes.
In the show it's Kansas City. And when they do the human trap, when the humans try to trap Ellie and Joel in that truck, it was kind of weak compared to how they did it in Pittsburgh. There's a lot more action in the Pittsburgh version, but the way that they killed off one of the guys, one of the raiders that's in Kansas City, that was really good. Like, there's a lot more humanity about like, hey, we're just humans trying to survive this whole thing. Like, my name is Brian. Don't kill me.
Yeah, that was a cool scene how that played out.
Like, I just want to go home. Like, this wasn't like, I'm not trying to murder you just because like it's personal.
You know what?
Like,
it's kind of we did bring in the real world last week. We kind of brought it down a little bit at the end of the episode last week, right? But it's hearing, and the stuff that kind of came out of Memphis, not to try to tie it too much into it because that's its own like unfortunate thing, right? But hearing the guy in the show go, mom, it's like, that's right. But what do you do, right? As far as like the episode, what do you do, right? Like that was the script, that was the scene, and it was, I don't know, it was a little more powerful, the fact that he was like, mom. Hearing that, we'll come back to you, Dale. But Luis, what do you think? Were you kind of disappointed as far as the episode's concerned, or are you higher on it than Dale was?
I feel like I'm pretty much on the same boat as him as far as that emoji reaction goes. It was very sort of like, of the 4 episodes that have come out, this one has been the weakest. It's been the most sort of like generic TV so far, I think, especially with how good the past 3 have been. It was a better change than in the game with the way that Ellie quote unquote killed her quote unquote first person as far as Joel was concerned at the time. But then I feel like the follow up after that was weaker than what it was in the game, where it was, that moment was sort of a point of tension between the two, even though Joel was obviously happy that he wasn't dead, but it was like Ellie didn't follow his instructions, right, of like, don't take a weapon. But I guess because of the way they wrote the script, with them sort of becoming friendlier and happier with that road trip section, that I don't know how long that was, but it felt like it was at least 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, and some of it, and some of it
long.
And some of it, it's funny because like they they talk about it in the post show, and I didn't listen to the podcast actually this morning, but I just remembered. But part of like some of the things that the directors talk about, Neil Druckmann, is like this whole like direction that they're taking the series in, was like, Joel is this violent person, and Ellie is realizing that she's also violent too internally, which I don't know if the games necessarily show that. Yes, over the traversal, over like the course of the games, yes, Ellie starts to get a little more violent, more like, it's like, damn, but I feel like that's more of a, like, I need to survive, not because inherently she's violent, as you can see in these scenes where she gets the gun and Joel's like, I told you about this gun, but I'm gonna give it back to you. Here you go. And she looks like all crazy, right? Like, it's like, oh, I love it. I love this gun. Teach me more. And it's kind of like,
yeah, they're not natural born killers or whatever like that.
Yeah, so that was one of those things. But yeah, as far as the episode, it's sort of one of those transitional episodes, right? It's like, look, we're setting up the scene. I mean, for what you can say about the episode, I guess, is that this is like the closest that Joel and Eddie have been, or Ellie, my bad. Joel and Ellie have been, where they've actually gotten to know each other, and it's not like all these crazy scenes of like, I'm trying to get you from point A to point B. You can kind of at least see like their character building, right? Like the development of like, oh, we're getting to know each other a little bit better, even to the point where she's like, that last scene was kind of beautiful, I think, right? Where she's like making jokes out of the pun book, right? And one of them finally gets Joel, and Joel's like, and she's like, I got you, motherfucker. She's like, you laughed, and then he just couldn't help himself at that point, right? But it's definitely a transitional episode. It's one of those where like they're setting up for what's next, right? So in that sense, I think it's a functional episode over like, like the last episode was a beautiful episode put together, and it's like a complete story. And any kind of episode was gonna be a downtrend or whatever you want to call it, right? It wasn't gonna be as good as episode 3, right? But so maybe we could talk about that, Dale. What do you think about the introduction of Perry and Kathleen? Mostly Kathleen, right? And you're kind of getting a sense of what kind of person she is. She's kind of a ruthless killer. She's also like obviously trying to hide. I know the character. You kind of, I don't know if you believe it. She did kind of murder someone real quickly, though. Made a decision.
I don't know if they picked the right. Like, I don't know if they picked the right actor to do it.
Yes.
Because like I've seen the actor before. She's great. But she never plays like this type of cutthroat kind of survival, leader or whatever of this band.
Well, I think for this she was pulled, like, if you've seen Yellow Jackets, she's kind of a sort of
kill.
So she kind of pulled her from that.
Yeah. So I understand that, but I don't think they framed her the right way, or they just didn't get her lines right. Yeah. So I'm hoping to see more, mainly because like her interrogation of that one elderly guy, like I don't know what the backstory is because she's a totally brand new character. Yeah. She was pretty ruthless when that came by, and she's definitely hunting Henry. So Henry, if you guys know, like Henry and Sam are part of the original game, and she definitely has it out for them for some reason. I think the reason was they killed her brother or something. Mm-hmm. So it's personal. So I was like, oh, that's kind of like a parallel to what happened to Abby in Last of Us Part 2. So it's a very personal vendetta of these characters that are trying to get through, the story. And so I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. Another interesting thing about Perry, the bearded guy, the white bearded guy, he's the voice of Tommy.
He plays Tommy.
Yeah, he plays Tommy.
He's Tommy in the games, right? So I didn't know that. And that totally blanked on me until I was like, where have I heard this guy before? I swear I did, and I didn't realize it until someone posted it on Twitter, and that's where I read it. I was like, "Whoa! Oh shoot! It is that guy."
Yeah. So Luis, what do you make of these new characters, man? I know. So we did talk about her. I said ruthless killer. I appreciate the pause, Dale. I appreciate that. I was like, is she though? And so I appreciate that. I think she still has to prove herself that she is that character. But one of the things for sure is like she at least is not being completely honest with everyone, right? Because there's definitely like that pit or whatever it is that they found in the building.
Yeah. What the heck
she's
is
like,
that
she's
thing?
like, don't say anything about that. And he's like, what do you mean?
You guys don't know what that is?
It's the big old monster thing, right, from the gym.
It's most likely the bloater, yeah.
Yeah,
the bloater. Right?
But so what do you think, Lise, whether it's that she's not being honest, or maybe you do think she's a ruthless killer? Maybe
they definitely want us to believe that she's a ruthless killer, and she obviously is the leader of this group, even though she looks exactly like everybody else, basically.
A generic ass character.
Yeah, just someone wearing like a jacket, I guess. But and maybe they wanted that juxtaposition of someone that doesn't look like a ruthless killer or leader to sort of play that off. But yeah, I'm not quite buying it
sold,
yet.
Huh? You're not sold.
Even though she did what she did and what she says is very sort of adds to that sort of narrative, but the way that I'm seeing it on screen, just it's not connecting with me quite yet. And yeah, if I had no idea, because even me, someone who's played the games, knowing who Henry and Sam are, and her sort of talking about it, like I was still kind of lost for a few moments while she was talking about this. Like, why is she so mad? And I was like, oh, it's Henry and Sam from the game. So like, of someone who's never played the games, I can't imagine how confused they are right now. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? Why is she mad?
There's no
Who
reference
is
of
she
them
looking
before
for?
that.
Like,
No.
they have no frame of reference for who these people are. So they're not sort of, quote unquote, I guess, excited to see them come up on screen. It's just the name, right? They don't really know who these people are.
Yeah.
So I'm just not buying this whole, and I guess it's interesting that they want to sort of expand on the world and add the characters, and in the games you did know that this section you're going through was a federal location that was overtaken by these people, and now they're all over the place. But I don't know that they necessarily had to develop this whole story behind the area. They could have just kind of gone through it, and just like, damn, there's people chasing us, we don't know what's going on. Like they did in the game, because they spent a lot of time on this episode, and we're like halfway through the series. So I'm just kind of worried that they're gonna start rushing things a little bit towards the end. That's my only concern right now. But,
that's one of the things right now that is kind of like, let's hope that we're not seeing the sort of threads of like, it's getting worse. It's not gonna be as good, like that's kind of one of the things, right? But I don't know. I feel like maybe we can kind of chalk it up to, it's like I said, it's like a transitional episode where it's like, okay, we're getting to the next part, we're getting to the next section, right? But even the little details, I think I've mentioned it before, but I still, one of the things I really want to quickly mention here is that it still kind of trips me up to see like actual brands, right? Like there's the Sara Lee brand, there's like the FedEx trucks that they drive by, there's all these little details that for whatever reason, I was like, oh shit,
don't forget Arby's, bro.
Oh, the Arby's. Oh, that's right, there's the Arby's. I did point that out while I was watching it with my child, but there's an Arby's. So like, look, there's an Arby's. They probably have the mac and cheese right there. But it's definitely one of those things where it grounds the show a little bit more to actually have legitimate brands in it. But we'll see what happens on it. Look, we do have someone in the chat, PS Rewind. Thank you for joining us. He says Lightfall hype. If you have a question, we're about to wrap up here this is on the post credits here, PS Rewind. But if you have a quick question, maybe we could get to it before we end the stream here. But other than that, man, I think we do have a couple of news as far as The Last of Us is concerned. Episode 4 did premiere to 7.5 million viewers, so that's the highest audience ratings yet. It keeps increasing, man. It keeps increasing. So I think it's one of those things like, this thing is blowing up. HBO, I'm sure, is super happy about it. There's no wonder that they renewed it for a new season. Also, remember that episode 5 will premiere Friday instead of Sunday, and I'm sure they're trying to avoid that Super Bowl blast radius. So they're kind of like, all right, let's have it up on Friday when everyone's gathered. They could talk about it on Sunday. But I don't know. Any kind of final thoughts? Dale, we'll go with you first, man. Anything? Are you kind of hyped about? Do you like how they ended it? I guess because they basically ended it with the two kids with the guns pointed in the face, right?
Should we spoil that? Can we spoil that right now?
It's all spoilers. It's all spoilers.
Damn. All right, I'm gonna remove my headphones for this.
You agreed to this, Dalan.
You agreed to this, Dalan. But go ahead, Dale.
That seems like a heavy spoiler right there.
Well, okay. Well, so Ellie and Joel wake up basically, and you definitely see Henry and Sam.
Yeah.
And so they're holding up Ellie and Joel, and that's it. That it cuts right out of that. But I'm like super hyped because like those two characters are really big in the story, especially in the games. Especially when like the whole series has been trying to teach Joel, like he's like, hey, you have to like love again. Like you can't just be like this soulless monster that just goes through life with like no point. You lost Tess, you lost some other friends. Like now it's time to find a new purpose, and the purpose eventually is going to be Ellie. And hopefully what he learns in the game is that he learns that like the same instances you're going to see it paralleled with Henry and Sam. And so what happens to them is unfortunate, and he better learn from something like that. And I'm hyped to see that because there's a whole part of the game where like, man, they go through some shit, and I want to see that. Yeah. I want to see that whole situation and everything.
Which how they're pushing through it. I'm pretty sure we might even see it like through the course of the next episode. We might see it play out, especially how many episodes do we have left, right? I think we might see it play out through the course of it. It was very like, you know what? Talking about how we were kind of like meh on the episode. I feel like ending it that way was kind of like it was just starting. Like it was. That's kind of how I felt. I was like, this episode was just starting. All right, that's cool.
Luis, before I head out, I just want to say shout out in chat the Sly Crow. Thanks for
Okay.
joining us, man.
Oh,
He's
there you
from another chat off of Discord, so thanks for joining us.
Oh,
man.
nice. Thank you very much. Luis, any final thoughts, man? What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I think I felt similar to how you felt, where I saw them on screen. I'm like, okay, now we're getting started. Oh wait, we're not getting started. The episode is over. Yeah, I feel like they could have maybe.
Disappointment was then.
Huh?
Is that you got started, but you didn't get started. You were waiting for it.
Yeah.
Just
so
tell him yes, Luis. Just tell him yes. Just say yes.
I feel like they could have still. I don't know. Maybe this is me. I should let go a little bit more. But
No,
I
no,
feel
no,
like
no.
they
This
could
is
have-
when you can speak on it. This is when you can
No, I
speak
just
on
mean as far as expectations for the show, because obviously there's huge deviations going on, but they still keep the same sort of core thread of the game. I feel like they could have still, in this instance, kept that same sort of introduction to Henry and Sam, and it would have had the same result if they wanted to cut the episode off there.
Yeah.
With maybe as they're going into the room, they're about, oh, we're going to sleep here. And then they get sort of similar to the game. You crawl through the window, Henry starts sort of beating you up, and Joel starts beating Henry
that's
up.
true.
And then cut to Sam holding the gun. And then that's the end of the episode, right? They could have still sort of achieved that and kept the same core of the game. But I don't want to get. It's not like it ruined it for me or anything. It was just the way the episode ended.
And this one took like some kind of logical missteps or weird kind of steps where he's like crunching up glass, and she's like, what are you doing that for? And he's like, so I can hear them. It's like, yeah, but your ear is bad or whatever. It's like, but they still got through. There was no crunching of the glass. That's fine. So look, I think it's fair. This is what we do this podcast for, right? We're gonna poke some holes into like what they do and the deviations, and I still think we got hopes, right? We still got hopes that it'll come back, it'll rebound next week, and we'll get pretty hyped. So as far as people in the chat, I don't know if you're seeing other people than I see Dale. I see PS Rewind. Thank you for joining us, sir. We're gonna try to maybe get a time going. Maybe that's what we need, right? Have a time for people to be like, I'm gonna.
We gotta warn them.
We gotta warn them. We just kind of went. Look, for episode 100, we kept it wacky.
Figure out where our stream went.
Yes, we need to know what the correct link is. But for those of us who joined, again, PS Rewind, and who else was in the chat, Dale?
Sly Crow.
Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully we didn't spoil it too much. You guys jumped in and you're like, what the hell? They're spoiling Last of Us right now. I haven't seen it yet. But look, I'm Carlos Macias, the master of puppetry. I think that's what Dalen said earlier.
Paper mache.
Master of paper mache. Dalen Kirkwood from up in the mountains. Thank you for joining us. You were, I don't know, I want to say you were a good sport, but I don't know. I mean, I like it though that you were here for episode 4, but there was some major things. Try to get them out of your brain, all right, dude? Try to get them out
It's
of
good
your
that
brain.
it was like not the best episode.
True.
Like,
I'm not
spoiled
gonna,
on.
well,
True.
yeah, that part sucks to actually know, and I'm still gonna end up finishing the episode as soon as we're done here. But I was out here like Dale was about to hit some heavy spoilers, and I just turned the volume down on my headphones. That's why my hand was on my headphones. I have no idea what he said at that point, so that's still cool.
Okay.
For me.
All right, that's good.
We kept
That's
talking
good.
about it.
Dale Blas, the king of Mid-Bay. Have a fun trip, man. We'll see you in like 3 weeks. Don't think about a podcast. Don't think about nothing, you know. Maybe if you need to go to maybe if you need to like take a nap, you're like, let me put these motherfuckers on. Like, let me.
Do you guys want any like
Serious.
you guys want any souvenirs or anything?
Potentially.
Hit me in the chat.
Yeah, let's talk about it off
I
wax.
believe the Neo Geo store is still up. Bring one of those things back.
Okay, there you go. We'll talk about that off wax though, of course, right? Luis Mendez on the Wheels of Steel. Thank you very much, sir. We'll see you guys next time, and maybe we'll warn you that we're going live or something, and we'll know what the link is. We'll know how it works. Maybe potentially.
Hey man, shoot up a flare. Shoot up a flare.
Shoot up a flare indeed. All right, latest.